Support from Country Insurance and Financial Services and WSIL TV3.
Right now on the River Region Evening Edition, SIU trustee Dawn Lowry has some heated things to say about the SIU administration. Plus, a woman is killed while walking in a Murfreesboro neighborhood. Are you safe in your neighborhood? And what most people are calling a disaster, Dallas mayor is calling a miracle, a silver lining from the severe weather.
Live from the campus of Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. Bringing you the news from around the world and across the river region. This is the Evening Edition.
We begin with a developing story. Charges against 5 men accused of planning the September 11th terrorist attacks. Good evening, I'm Jim Johnston.
And I'm Curtis Sheehan. The 5 are being held at Guantanamo Bay while they await trial. They're being charged for terrorism, hijacking, civilians, and intentionally causing seriously bodily injury and destruction of property. If convicted, all 5 men could face the death penalty.
And Carbondale is being named one of the 100 most dangerous cities in the country. That is according to a NeighborhoodScout.com report. Carbondale was ranked 95th most dangerous with a total of 261 violent crimes and 1,400 property crimes. Other cities on the list in Illinois include Rockford, Chicago, Danville, and the top-rated most dangerous city, East St. Louis. But why is Carbondale on the list? We'll have that story tomorrow night at 5.
The Southern Illinois airport closed earlier today due to a gas leak. Aviation classes and flights were canceled for precautionary reasons. The leak is a result of an Ameren gas line that was hit while airport officials were installing a fiber optic cable through the airport. A substantial amount of gas leaked from the 5-inch line, and because the leak occurred in an open area, the gas was being dispersed at a quick rate. The leak is currently being repaired. David Newmeyer, professor and chair of aviation management and flight, says it was an accident that can easily occur at such a busy area.
The old sleepy airport, Southern Illinois airport of the past, is no more. It's a busy place, and so when you think of it that way, then underground there's a lot to support it. There's water, there's gas, there's sewer, all that stuff, and telephone lines and computer connections. And when they dig out here, they're not well marked, and sometimes they run into stuff.
No injuries have been reported from the gas leak. Aviation classes are expected to resume tomorrow.
Local residential roads aren't as safe or as quiet as they may seem to be. Evening Edition's Amanda Fairbacher is live in the newsroom with more.
A Murfreesboro woman was killed Friday night after being struck by a truck while crossing the road. 57-year-old Viola Gaynor was pronounced dead at the scene. Evening Edition spoke with Carbondale residents about careless driving. Accidents happen all the time on residential roads like these.
I had a friend who pretty recently got hit by a car on his longboard and was in the hospital for like a month at least.
Melanie says he was crossing a regular road and got hit way too hard.
People are pretty reckless.
Carbondale resident Danielle Glenn explains why people might drive so recklessly.
I think people are just talking on their phone and texting a lot, not really paying attention to where they're going.
Texting while driving is one of the leading causes of car accidents, along with speeding and other factors.
I see people speeding on it all the time.
Not only are people getting hit, but so are other cars and pets.
My friend's dog was hit by a car. Like a car driving super fast just nailed it and it was killed.
Driving cautiously in residential areas seems like a no-brainer, but accidents happen every day. People are urged to change their driving patterns on these roads. To make your neighborhood streets safe, avoid using these streets as shortcuts. Pay attention and follow speed limits. Back to you, Curtis.
Thank you, Amanda. Anywhere from 6 to 13 tornadoes. That's the estimate the National Weather Service is giving for the severe weather that flattened parts of northern Texas yesterday. Dallas County was hit hard. One twister picked up tractor trailers like toys and tossed them hundreds of feet through the air. Mayor Michael Rawlings says there's a silver lining to all of this destruction.
We're still assessing this situation, but it looks like the Dallas-Fort Worth area really dodged a bullet. I mean, we've got hundreds and hundreds of homes destroyed, but amazingly no fatalities, as you mentioned, And I think we've counted 3 people taken to the hospital. I mean, we're looking at a miracle here. It really is something amazing.
Rescuers plan to search Dallas today to make sure no one is trapped under the debris. Arlington, Texas was also hit hard. At least 3 people were hospitalized and roughly 150 homes were destroyed.
We didn't see the tornadoes they did, but we saw a mix of sunshine and clouds today.
But what can we expect as the night goes on? Summer Luthi is here with weather. Summer?
Well, it looks like we're going to be seeing a little bit of all sorts of weather today. This morning it was cloudy, and this afternoon we saw some sunshine. But tonight we're going to start seeing some thunderstorms come into our region. We're going to have a low of 57 degrees when those thunderstorms come in. By tomorrow morning we're going to be seeing more thunderstorms, temperature not changing much, just up to 58 degrees. And that temperature will stick around through the day, and those thunderstorms will turn into showers. I'll have your full forecast coming up later on in the newscast, but in the meantime, back to you guys.
Concerns are being raised tonight about whether or not SIU is wasting money. Evening Edition's Loretto Cruz has information on where nearly $6,000 of this money may or may not be going.
Is SIU spending your money wisely? SIU board member Don Lowry questioned President Glenn Pichard to find out.
One of the questions I asked early on was what I noticed in the board policy. The old policy said that we gave a housing allowance to the president and the 2 chancellors. So I asked the question, how much is that housing allowance and who currently receives it? The answer to the question back in writing was the president, the 2 chancellors. The housing allowance is $27,500 a year per person.
Pichard recently complained that some trustees were meddling in day-to-day activities instead of setting policy.
That's not interjecting yourself in the day-to-day management. That's asking questions about the management. You can't tweak management unless you know what's happening. How many events have they had at their home in the last 12 months? Because that's the purpose of the housing allowance. And the answer came back. The president had not had any. The Chancellor Cheng had 1, and Chancellor Vandegrift up in Edwardsville had used it. He had 10 or 12 home events. And when I said something to the president about that, he said, well, if I used that, I had events at my house, it would cost the university more money because they would have to cater it.
When asked on WSIU radio just a few weeks ago what state he thought the university was in, President Pichard said he believed the university was in great shape.
Well, certainly his idea of great shape and mine are different. And he says he's done the best he could do. Well, that may not be good enough.
Reporting from SIUC campus, Loretto Cruz, Evening Edition.
Lowry says that in order to move forward, administration must give the board accurate information to prevent misuse of the university's resources. And new help for hungry students at SIU. Now there's a new option for finding enough food to eat.
Evening Edition will be right back.
A Tennessee man has been accused of killing a woman and injuring 9 other people from a chain reaction car crash here in southern Illinois. Prosecutors have charged 43-year-old Thomas Harris with reckless homicide, aggravated driving under the influence, and 14 other counts. Police say Harris was driving on US 51 this past Sunday when he struck a van that spun off into a group of motorcycles. Prosecutors say a Harris driver's license has been suspended before from a previous DUI.
The Wesley Foundation Food Pantry is successfully helping students in the area. SIU student Lauren Luer came up with the idea for the food pantry. She is majoring in food and nutrition and wanted to help other students in the area. Students in need from both SIU and John A. Logan College are welcome to the food pantry once a month. The food pantry has nearly 45 students that visit monthly, and more donations are being made daily. You can call the pantry for more information. Here's the number, area code 618-547-8165.
A recently proposed law requiring gun owners to pay registration fees for their firearms is likely dead now. State Senator Gary Forby said that 2 deadlines important for moving the bill passed last week without any action from supporters of the bill. Bill proposals were drafted earlier this year at the request of Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel as a way to fight gun crimes in the city. Forby and other local legislators fought the bill, saying that they would be penalizing legal owners with extra fees.
Groups marched through the streets of Chicago in support of Governor Pat Quinn's proposal to shut down the Tams Correctional Center in southern Illinois. The supporters took aim at a union opposed to closing Tams because it means layoff of guards and other personnel. However, the supporters say the issue is about human dignity, not jobs. Human rights activists often have targeted the prison in Alexander County for inhumane treatment of prisoners where they are confined to their cell 23 hours a day. Quinn's proposal to shut down TAMS will result in a layoff of nearly 300 state employees.
Governor Pat Quinn is going to Washington, D.C. next week to talk about exports with Brazilian officials and President Obama. The trip was announced yesterday after the first meeting with Illinois Export Advisory Council. Quinn says that they talked about state exports climate and what could be done to improve it. Next week, Quinn plans on meeting with the Brazilian president and hopes to travel to Brazil later this year.
A longtime friend of former Governor Rod Blagojevich will be serving prison time. A judge handed Lon Monk a 2-year sentence yesterday. Monk is one of the last members of Blagojevich's inner circle to be sentenced in a legal saga stretching back a decade. Monk turned away from Blagojevich when he was arrested in 2008 and testified at both of Blagojevich's trials. He told jurors he and Blagojevich tried to squeeze a racetrack owner for a $100,000 campaign donation. Monk pleaded guilty to a single count of wire fraud and agreed to testify in exchange for a government recommendation that he serve 2 years rather than the maximum of 5 years.
There's more rain in our forecast. Weathercaster Summer Luthi is here next to tell us just how much we can expect.
And it was a down day on Wall Street. Here's a look at your closing numbers.
And now the forecast for the river region. This is your evening edition weather.
Good evening and thank you for joining me tonight. I'm Summer Luthi. We're going to have a bit of a cool front coming into our region here soon. With that cool front, we're going to be seeing temperatures that are more seasonal to this time of year. And it looks like we're going to see a little bit of rain, but after that rain, we're going to be seeing abundant sunshine. But for right now, our temperature is at 73 degrees with a dew point at 65. Relative humidity is at 79% right now, which is pretty high. Winds coming out of the northwest at 6 miles an hour. Today we saw a high of 73 degrees. We reached that this afternoon when the sun decided to come out. The low today was at 61. We've seen a little bit of rain, just 0.4 of an inch, bringing our monthly precipitation right under a half of an inch. Looking at our temperatures across the region today, we've got everything from 66 degrees up in Belleville down to 79 degrees in Paducah. That's like a 13 degrees difference. And we've got Carbondale and Marion at 73 degrees here tonight. Looking at our national satellite, we've got a lot of cloud coverage here in the southern Illinois area, and it's reaching into Missouri, Kansas, and even into Indiana. That explains those partly cloudy skies we've been seeing today, and we're going to continue seeing whenever we look to the national radar now. We can see that under those clouds we've got a lot of rain coming our way. That's going to come in tonight, and it's going to remain through the day tomorrow. Well, after tomorrow, it looks like things should be clear, but tonight we're going to see an overnight low of 57 degrees with a 60% chance of thunderstorms. By tomorrow, the high is 58 degrees with a 50% chance of those thunderstorms sticking around. And then by tomorrow night, things will clear up. There will be rain showers early, a 30% chance with a low of 41 degrees. Looking at our 5-day Friday, the sun is going to come back and we'll see a high of 64 degrees. Saturday, it looks like some clouds will move in. Things will warm up to around 70 degrees. Sunday, it's going to be very sunny, high of 70, a beautiful Easter Sunday. And then Monday and Tuesday, temperatures will cool down just a little bit, a high of 69 and 63, and a lot more sunshine. So it looks like we're going to be seeing cooler temperatures, not the 80s like we have been seeing, but we will be seeing more sunshine.
That's all that matters. We were spoiled there for a little bit with all that heat.
Yes,
Time
we
to bring
were.
down some rain. All right,
Back to spring.
Back to spring. Thank you, Summer.
Baseball fans' favorite week continues as several other teams open up their ballparks.
And the SIU men's baseball team played a tough game against Murray State yesterday. Could they pull out a win? Courtney Seawack is here with more. Courtney?
The Kentucky Wildcats celebration continues as they are welcome back at home. And the Baylor Lady Bears took a big win from the Fighting Irish last night. Find out how they did, all that and more next in sports.
And now the latest scores and highlights from across the river region. This is Evening Edition Sports.
When we last saw the Cardinals under bright night lights in a meaningful game, they were celebrating their 11th World Series championship. Now the defending champs will help start a new era for the Miami Marlins, as opening night of the baseball season in the United States begins in 30 minutes. The Marlins have completely revamped their image from their new $500 million stadium, a new color scheme in jerseys, and a $190 million shopping spree in the offseason to bring in some former Chicagoans in Ozzie Guillen, Mark Burley, and Carlos Zambrano, along with all-star shortstop Jose Reyes. Gives South Florida hope for a deep run in the playoffs. The Cardinals have been where the Marlins want to go and will hope to continue their success without two key members of last year's championship team. In the departures of Tony La Russa and Albert Pujols, new manager Mike Matheny leads the Redbirds that send Kyle Lowes to the mound against Josh Johnson of the Marlins. First pitch is at 6. The question that most Southside fans have about the 2012 White Sox is what can we expect out of the bullpen that features 4 rookie pitchers. Robin Ventura, who took over the managerial spot for Ozzie Guillen, will have some talent to work out of the pen with hard-throwing veterans in Matt Thornton and Jesse Crane, and young guns in Addison Reed, Hector Santiago, and Nate Jones. Ventura has not handed out the closer role just yet and has until Friday to make the decision when the White Sox start their season against the defending American League champs, the Texas Rangers. The Sox closed out spring training today against the Astros, ending in a 5-5 tie, as both teams turned their attention to the regular season. Baseball fans continue celebrating opening day as several teams start their seasons off tomorrow. Well, it's next year for the Chicago Cubs as they welcome the Washington Nationals at 1:20 p.m. The Boston Red Sox head to Detroit to take on the Tigers at 12:05. Also, the Pirates host the Philadelphia Phillies, and the New York Mets open things up against the Braves at 12:10 p.m. Later in the day, the Cleveland Indians host the Toronto Blue Jays at 2:05 p.m. The Miami Marlins travel to Cincinnati to face the Indians, and the San Diego Padres close out opening day against the Dodgers at 6:05. The SIU men's baseball team started things off slow yesterday against Murray State, but they managed to get the win. Things did not look good for the Salukis in the first 3 innings as Murray State led the game 6-0. The Dogs changed things around in the 6th after Jordan Silverstein's second home run of the day, giving the Salukis a 9-8 lead. Silverstein went on to end the game with a career-high match of 6 RBIs. Pitcher Tyler Dre helped out by throwing a scoreless 8th inning, and Todd Eaton closed it with a scoreless 9th. SIU went on to win 13-10. The Dogs faced off against Evansville Friday at 3. As they have all season, the Baylor Lady Bears stand atop the women's college basketball world. The Lady Bears capped off their perfect 40-0 season with an 80-61 victory over Notre Dame to win their second NCCA title in 7 seasons. 6'8" center Brittany Griner was the runaway winner for most outstanding player in the tournament. Griner finished the game with 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocks. The AP Player of the Year says that they were all in for a national championship when the season started.
I wanted it because this is what our team wanted, and this is what we promised Coach when we got here. It had nothing to do with to validate what type of player I am. That was the last thing in the back of my mind. It's the team and just getting this national championship for Coach and Baylor.
From the women to the men, we go now to Lexington, Kentucky. The recently crowned national champion Wildcats returned home to a sold-out Rupp Arena yesterday. Kentucky took down Kansas 67-59 on Monday night for the program's 8th national title. What's next for the Cats? Well, a few of them have to decide if the NBA is the right move to make. National Player of the Year Anthony Davis is expected to make the jump and will likely be taken as the first pick in the draft later this month. And also in Saluki news, the women's softball team was scheduled to play in St. Louis today, but it will be scheduled next week due to weather. But they do take on Indiana State Friday at home.
I tell you, that weather just seems to be messing with everything.
I know.
It's taking over all the headlines.
Right?
Thanks.
Thanks, Courtney.
Coming up, we'll have a quick weather recap.
And we celebrate a little-known holiday. Here are some of the stories making news this week. City officials and residents react to Carbondale being named one of the nation's most dangerous cities. Also, the levees along the Mississippi River are slowly rebuilt from the flooding last spring. Will they be able to hold water back this year? Plus, MLB baseball is right around the corner. We will have Cardinal scores as well as a look ahead to the rest of the season. That's tomorrow night at 5 on the WSIU television stations. Summer, can we just get a quick look at weather?
Sure thing. Looks like Friday we're going to see some sunny skies with a high of 64. Saturday, it's going to be partly cloudy with a high of 70, and then sun for the rest of the week, and temperatures around 70.
All right, thank you, Summer.
Today is National Hug and Anchor Day. It was started in 2009 by Fox and Friends, where it was originally called Hug a Newsman Day. News teams all over the country are taking part in this. Even Evening Edition is included.
Let's do this.
This is gonna I like it. You know, congratulations on being anchors. That feels good.
Everyone up here smells good.
I tell you what, move over, Christmas. I have a new favorite holiday. Thank you for joining us tonight. You can find many of tonight's stories on our website, siutvnews.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at River Region News. I'm Jim Johnston.
And I'm Curtis Sheehan. For Summer Luthi, Courtney Seawack, and everyone here at the Evening Edition, have a great night. And don't forget to hug an anchor.
River Region Evening Edition is made possible through the membership support of viewers like you, with additional support from Country Insurance and Financial Services and WSIL TV3.